Hey, 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 happy healing and becoming. Thank you all so much for joining us for another Tuesday, another day to heal, and another day to become. I truly count it an honor and a privilege you joining, you sharing, you engaging in the podcast. I am just thrilled with how God has used this space to really help women heal and become. You guys already know what we do in this podcast and lifting as we climb, turning our trials into treasures, living a life to inspire and not impress, opening up and allowing God to fully restore us, and loving as if we've never been hurt. In all the years of me truly getting to do this work that I do, helping women, one of the common themes that come up is women telling me that they feel stuck, that they feel stagnant. They feel like, they're lost or they just don't know where to go. This morning, I had tons of things to do, and we were in traffic. And I had my daughter, she was driving me because, listen, them kids got to come in handy for something, right? And so she was driving me as I was sending emails and doing all of this stuff. And I saw the frustration on her face, and she kept trying to go in and out of lanes to try to get to our destination faster. And I told her, just stay here. We're going to get there. Even though it felt like we weren't moving, I told her, stay here. She didn't listen and she ended up missing our exit. That's what happens in life when we feel stuck and we weave in and out of things that God never called us to do. He never called us to go to this location or to start this job or to date this man or to do whatever those things are. But because we're trying to get to our desired location, which is being unstoppable, which is being powerful, which is becoming the woman that you pray and think about, just stay right there. Even though it seems slow, slow progress is better than you missing the exit that God has for you. I'm excited about this conversation, you guys, and I know that my guest is going to bring some very powerful insight to this conversation. As a woman, I'm not quite in the mid part of my life, but listen, my good friend Perry has been kicking my butt. If y'all know anything about perimenopause, so I'm right on the cusp of that midlife. So this conversation is for every woman, but I wanted to particularly bring a conversation to women that maybe see a little bit seasoned in their life and they feel like, why am I still stuck? My guest today is going to help us out. So without further ado, hey sis, you have a minute?
Hey, yes, I do, Miss Tamika. My name is Dacia Moore. I'm so pleased to be on your show, Healing and Becoming. That is absolutely what I'm about. I'm a licensed professional counselor, been one for about 20 plus years. And I became a counselor because at one point in my life, season in my life, I was stuck. I
Mm,
went to counseling reluctantly. I was actually forced to go, or else I was going to lose my job. And my counselor helped me. I was going through a divorce at the time. And she helped me to the extent that I said, I want to help other people, especially African American women, to learn how to trust God. We talk about trusting God. We talk about, He's my rock, He's my salvation, and He is all of that. But the intellectual knowledge of saying it and the experience of doing it are two
mm,
different things. And so these last years, I have been walking with the Lord, and He has released me from many, many different feelings and beliefs that had kept me stuck. The counselor, he helped me through the counselor, he's helped me through a life coach, and just through getting to know him and going through different Bible studies. So I have recently written a book, From Stuck to Unstoppable, because as I work with my counseling clients, I end up telling them some foundational information. And I thought, you know what, let me get it in a book. And that way I can send them the book, they can have it to refer to. But yes, so I'm very happy to be here to talk about becoming your best self, becoming the woman that God has created you to be, to flourish and not allow the enemy or your regrets or your feelings of unworthiness to keep you from being unstoppable.
That's good. I am so glad that you have put the years and experience that you have walked through into this book, and I know that it's going to help many. It's already helping many. What are some common themes that get women stuck? I mean, I could speak for myself. And before I was delivered, and God really, helped me to release, as you said, I love that word. Releasing is such a beautiful word, I think, for this conversation. Um, one of the things that I kept getting falling into traps that made me feel unstuck, and it goes back to that analogy that I was talking about of weaving in and out of lanes, is relationships, not only romantic relationships, but particularly romantic relationships, because I thought it was someone else's job to make me get unstuck. I thought it was somebody else's job to help pull me out of the quicksand. And really, it took me to do the inner work. What are some other common things that cause women to stay in the cyclical cycle of stuckness?
Well, I think a big cause for women staying stuck is hearing very negative words or having negative toxic relationships from childhood, whether that be with their mother, their sister, or learning it in school, being bullied. I've had many clients who, they were bullied in school or bullied at Girl Scouts, and the messages that they got of you're not enough, you're not good enough, pretty enough, smart enough, whatever the not enoughness was, can those seeds germinate and begin to grow and form roots within our psyche, our spiritual and our soul self over time. And many times when a woman comes to me, especially if she's 40 or above, she is ready to get serious because she knows she has more of her life behind her than in front of her, or at
Mm,
least she's at the midpoint and she's ready to get serious about getting unstuck. So I would say regret is a big one. Unforgiveness is a big one. Both of those are related to depression. Certainly, anxiety, perfectionism is a big one, especially in women who are high achievers and in leadership. So, being perfect or feeling like they must be perfect. For Black women, it's that the strong Black woman myth where we have to take care of everybody else and
mhm,
not ourselves. We don't. I had one client say, I'm taking care of everybody else. I'm not even on the list. I'm not
yeah,
even on my own list. And she has struggled with that. And so those are some reasons why women stay stuck or get stuck and then they're not able to get out. And when we talk about being unstoppable, it certainly doesn't mean, Tamika, that nothing is going to stop you. What we're talking about is how do you engender grit, perseverance, and endurance to keep you moving forward to the goals that the Lord has for you. Being stuck means that you are way down. I come from
mhm,
Detroit, Michigan. I would get stuck in the snow often when I first learned to drive. Sometimes I could rock myself out. So some people can get unstuck by, reading a book, listening to a great podcast like this, praying. Certainly that helps. But sometimes I would be so deeply stuck that I had to wave somebody down and say, hey, can you help and push me? And
mm,
sometimes that is what we need as women is not somebody to push us, but somebody outside of our circle who can bring things to our attention and say, hey, had you thought about this? Have you considered this as a different narrative instead of what you have been believing? Is there a different way of thinking about this or maybe of relating to this person that you're having difficulty with? And so those are some of the ways that we help people to get from stuck to unstoppable.
mm. That's good. In all the conversations that I have, childhood trauma always comes up. And until we truly address that, until we look at, something that your mom said 10 years ago, or, when you were 5 years old too. I remember working with the client and I took her through some of this really deep healing And she had a core memory when she was, like, 2 years old, sitting in a, high chair, and her mom was neglectful. N We know now her mom probably had her own mental health issues or
Mhm.
different things, not that that, negates it, right? Because I think a lot of times as women, we edit our experiences and we say, "Well, yes, that hurt, but," and I think it's very important for women to get out of this unstuckness. They have to just call a thing and not, take the butts out of there and just really, say what it is. The other thing that you talked about was the, for unforgiveness.
Mhm.
My goodness,
That's a big one.
unforgiveness. Oh, that's huge, right?
Mhm.
And it is tied not only, oh man, you said it's tied to depression, but it also, wouldn't you say, causes some physical ailments in our
Oh, yeah.
body. Have you
Mhm.
seen that with any of your clients where they have like this anxiety, depression, but then also it's manifesting into this physical stuff in their body?
Absolutely. Our physical health and our mental health are inextricably combined. That's how the Lord made us. So, whenever we have some kind of mental health issue, it is going to show up in our bodies. And that is part of the danger of being stuck and staying stuck is that the hormones that are emitted when you are overwhelmed, when you are stressed, when you are anxious because you're dealing with perfectionism and you're worried about everything and I'm not enough, those hormones are come from fight, flight, or freeze, and they wash over our organs and can contribute, or there's a positive correlation with high blood pressure, with
Mhm.
diabetes, with stroke, with some of the major cancers. So managing ourselves, and plus, as women of God, we have to ask ourselves, and I'm not throwing shade, but we have to get to a place where we are trusting the Lord and letting Him lead, where
Mm,
we release some of that angst and that anxiety and that not enoughness and allow Him to love us and embrace us, and where we trust Him with driving the boat or driving the car and letting
mhm.
go of some of that control. Control is an illusion.
Mm,
But there is a journey from saying that we trust God to actually letting go of the wheel and allowing things to happen. And like you were saying with your daughter, just relaxing and allowing, your angst to dial down or dial yourself down, de stress yourself so that you are more relaxed. Because, if you
mhm,
think about it, there's a book called 3 Mile an Hour God. Now, I love that book. I love the title. Some of the stuff in the book is, not for me, but it talks about how the Lord changed the world, but he only walked on average about 3 miles an hour. He
mhm,
was never in a rush.
mm,
And he always had time. If you think about all the different stories in the Bible, the Lord was headed somewhere and people interrupted him. And
mhm,
he stopped for that interruption. Bartimaeus, this person, let me go. I'm going to go to dinner with you tonight. He would stop and deal with the person that was right in front of him. And he
mhm,
wants to deal with you as
mhm.
well. For the
That's so
listener,
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so good, and I love that you said that because one of my thoughts is, when he was the woman with the issue of blood that he stopped, he was on his way to the little girl. And so I
Mm-hmm,
believe there's a reason why he gave us those 2 stories together because he really wants to heal our little girl. But the
mm-hmm,
woman keeps stopping him to be healed. And he's like, I'm going to heal you, and your faith is going to make you whole. But I still need to get to that little girl. I still
mm-hmm,
need to tell her get up and and so I love that. That's such a beautiful um way to look at it. What I also love that you talked about is being in the snow and having someone, sometimes you got to wave somebody down to help you. As women, particularly Black women, we are told, there are so many negative narratives about Black women. The other day I was in the gym and I was working out, and I was the only Black woman. There were other women of color, but I was the only Black woman, and I noticed that he had me my coach had me pick up a weight heavier than everybody else. And I said, wow, in almost every setting, they believe because I'm Black, I'm stronger and I can hold this. And so a lot of times, because that is the label and the tag that's put on us, Black women sometimes have this, I don't know if it's a fear or, I don't know what you would call it. And maybe you could help the listeners understand this, of asking for help. Like, we're told, oh, you're being lazy, or you got it, you the strong one. And so a lot of times we don't stop and have that person ask us for help, in addition to mental health coaching. All this is why I love coaching, because I feel like it takes some of the stigma off of mental. But all I'm doing is CBT, I'm doing all the cognitive behavioral therapy, right? But that stigma and that steam of therapy is taken off. Why do you think some folks can't wave us down and say, "Hey, I need help. I'm stuck and I need the help."
Well, I think it's shame and embarrassment. I think that's some of it. Pride. I think that's a lot of it. Certainly buying into the narrative of, you should be able to do this on your own. What
Mm,
else have you learned to do that you did on your own, right? I'm taking
mhm,
Spanish classes. I need a Spanish teacher. I go and work out. I need a workout coach. If I want to get good at anything, I need somebody who has been there, who can guide me along the way. And I personally am so glad to be on your show because I want to get the message out that there is no shade or shame in getting help, whether you hire a counselor because you have some stuckness going on, or whether you hire a coach because you want to propel your vision into reality. But it helps so very much for us to become the woman and women that God has called us to be. He's called us to be in community. What did he
yeah,
say when he created Adam? He said, "It is not good for man to be alone." And a lot of times people take that to mean marriage. But what it also means is he created us to be in community. That's why we
mhm,
have families. That's why we have people around us who can give us insight and
mhm,
help us to do certain things. So I think it is part of the enemy's trap to keep us isolated. He certainly wants to keep you stuck because
mhm.
if you get unstuck, you will be able to help so many more people than you would if you stayed in that pit of self pity. And let me just say, before I go on, or before we go on to the next topic, there is nothing helpful about self pity.
Mm,
There is nothing helpful about feeling like you are the victim. Now, that does not mean that something bad hasn't happened to you and that you've had some traumatic experiences that should not have occurred, whether that's abuse, neglect, or whatever the situation might be, which might be why you need to get some help.
mhm,
But feeling sorry for yourself is another trick of the enemy that keeps us stuck. And
mm.
again, there is nothing helpful about self-pity. And that is what I see in a lot of women, is feeling sorry for themselves because this, that, or the other didn't happen. So whether it is the strong Black woman myth, which is I'm supposed to help everybody else, and that pressure of feeling that is what you're supposed to do, instead of that deep down nudge that I know the Holy Spirit is telling you, listen, you need to take care of yourself. The Lord tells us in the Bible, take care of your temple. So, how can
Mhm,
you take care of everybody else when you're depleted?
mhm,
Right? So there are many reasons for us to get unstuck. The main one is to be unencumbered, like Paul says, to be unencumbered so that you can do God's will and
mm.
help the people that he puts in your circle. That's what we're supposed to do. And if it means getting unstuck, then that's what we need to do.
That's right. And listen, we have work to do here on earth. So Everyone needs to get unstuck. And I love what you talked about being in community because we heal best in community. Our whole lives, we've been in communities from schools to families to the church you attend, right? We do best in community, which leads me to a quick commercial break. I just want to remind everyone that the Becoming Her membership is open. Link is in the show notes that gives you all the information on how you can join, what we are about. We are all about helping women heal and build the life of their dreams, not only for you to be healthy and whole, but also for you to start generating some real income so you can feel like you are contributing to your life and to your family. So we know what it looks like. You've painted a beautiful picture of stuckness. What does it look like and feel like to be unstoppable?
Well, I tell you, I am living in that space right now. And the Bible says, David says in Psalms, that the Lord has placed me on a rock. He has expanded my territory. He has put me in a large place. And it
Mm,
is so liberating. I don't know if I have the words to describe the peace and the security and the liberty that I am living in now, because I remember where I used to be. I often cry at church because I am so grateful to no
mm,
longer be where I used to be. It is possible to become liberated from all the things that are weighing you down, the worries, the anxiety, the trials, the tribulations, the betrayal. It is possible to let all of that go and to live in a place of freedom. This, where the spirit is, there is freedom, but there's still so many people who have the mask on and who are not getting the help that they need. And that's what I want to make sure and help as many people as I can to think about: how can I become unstoppable? Certainly, your
mm.
course, your membership is one way. There are many ways. I've got a free workshop coming up. That might be one way. We can put it in the show notes. It'll be on August 19th. But there are many ways to get unstuck. But the idea is, do something. Don't stay where you are. Keep moving the needle forward.
Yes, 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 yes. So you have taken this collective knowledge that you've used with life experience, also the amazing work that you've done as becoming a licensed therapist or clinical counselor,
Mhm.
as well as the work that you've done with your clients. And you've put all of this in a book. Tell us more about that.
Well, this is the first of many because yes. So this will be a series. It's called From Stuck to Unstoppable. And it is the basics of getting yourself moving out of a place of despair, out of whatever negative emotion is holding you down. And so the thing that I really want to help people understand is, and the Lord tells us, bring every thought captive. And we understand those words, but how do you do it? And that's what the
Mhm.
book guides you in. It's a workbook, and it guides you into how to bring those negative thoughts captive and what to do with them once you have them. And that's what the work of therapy is about. And that's what the book From Stuck to Unstoppable is about.
So good. And listen, the link to the book is in the show note. This would be a great opportunity for you to just kind of get a peek into what it would feel like working with her. I know that I always say that I'm not for everyone. This is why I bring experts on the podcast that can bring us a different way of seeing things, a different way of just really being. So I am so grateful for you sharing your story. I'm grateful for you identifying what stuckness looks like, but I am even more grateful for you being a living example of what it is to be unstoppable. TWT family, I truly count it an honor and a privilege you tuning in with us again this week. I pray that you grab some great jewels and insight from today's podcast episode. I want you to do like I tell you to do every week, share this podcast with 5 people. Make sure you share it on your social media. Tag us when you share so we know that you are giving this content to other people and just helping us become better together. Until next week, continue to live a life to inspire and not impress. Continue to lift as you climb. Open up and allow God to fully restore you. Love as if you've never been hurt and live a life to inspire and not impress. Bye bye.